Hello, welcome to Extreme Gaming Podcast, episode 331. I'm Grey Gamer, and my buddy over here is...
Hi, it's Maggle from Hell. How you doing?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I'm kidding. It's Trev as always. I'm sorry. I'm kidding.
I was going to say, well, you look a lot different, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually looking directly at the camera as opposed to up at it for once. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Mine's kind of up, but it's almost direct. I should probably put it on a stand or something, stick it down here.
For those wondering in the background, that is not the ship from Independence Day coming to assimilate Grey. That's Artemis 2.
Yes, Artemis 2 and the cool pictures I took of the moon and whatnot.
It's a really crap picture, Grey, I have to say, man.
No, it is not. The picture's like great. Boy, the high resolution version is like, it looks like it almost came out of a movie.
I know, but the ship should look white, not like it's almost permanently black in the shade.
No, well, what happened was this particular picture was taken on the dark side of the moon. So everything is much darker. The only reason it's even, and on top of that, you have the sun behind the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening is when your light source is coming forward to you, it makes everything closer to the camera darker. It's just natural. That's how it happens. So that's why you can't really see the ship. But when it comes around the moon, then boo, everything's like bright white and wonderful looking and all that stuff. But it's a cool shot. It's eerie looking, but it's neat.
Yeah,
It almost looks like I said, a movie or something did it anyway. If you guys want to see this, then you have to go to our YouTube and check out the image that's back there. But the audio people, I know some of you do take a look. Although we do have video on Spotify in some areas. I know it's not always in every area. I don't know if it's in the US. I know it's in the UK. But I'm not positive they're doing it here. There was a reason for it. I don't remember what they said.
I thought it'd be the Spotify, the American, not the home of Spotify. No, it's not. It's Sweden, is it not? Is it not like some Scandinavian country that's the
Good
home
question.
of Spotify?
I don't know.
Huh. There you go.
Not really sure. I stopped using. I mean, I use Spotify off and on. I also use Tidal, so I don't know which one comes from where.
Oh, that's expensive. That's your high end audio there.
Yeah. Well, I'm a rather high end guy. What can I tell you? Anyway, Matt can be with us, and some family stuff came up, and Hans also. So life does interfere occasionally, and those are more important than gaming podcast. We all understand that because we've all been through it. So we're just gonna hold down the fort with the two of us and talk about a bunch of stuff that we've been doing. If you want to join the Discord, discord.gg/extreme gaming podcast. We also have YouTube, and you can become a member. I think it's $1.99, right?
Yeah, and you'll get the podcast up to 3 or 4 days early before it goes live, plus any other kind of specials and whatnot that we do.
Yeah, like maybe we'll include a picture of my background. Just at least I can't get sued for it. It's open to the public, right?
Yeah, that's
anyway.
That's cool.
Also, Extreme Hollywood. We only do that once a month, but we do the same type of show, kind of, except that it's entertainment, movies, television, etc. So we have a lot of fun with that. We would do it more often, but it's hard enough doing a weekly gaming podcast, let alone a Hollywood one every week. But we do it once a month, and it's a lot of fun. And if you want to find it, just look up Extreme Hollywood on your podcast sources. There's 3 episodes now. All right, we're just going to kind of roll into the show. So we have some hardware and tech news, and Trev's going to start us off.
Yes, I am. This is amusing to me, Gray, because finally Disco Nitro is not shit. Finally, yes, mate. It's actually decent. Gray and I always said before that it wasn't the best value, but we always got it because obviously we run the Discord server and we want it to be as good as we can, and we want to, be able to offer people that jump in the best audio quality, video quality, all the little stickers and avatars and all that good stuff, so we pay for it anyway, even though I don't like Discord much myself. I've said many times in the record that there was rumors and murmurings of Steam or Valve including some kind of Discord equivalent into Steam one-stop shop, which I would love, so we'll see.
Seems like they always say that, but yet there's nothing else that's replacing it anytime soon, apparently.
Exactly. There's your problem. There's your problem there, or nothing substantial of note. So, yeah. So basically, what's going on here? Starting as of what day would that be? We're recording this on the 12th. So as of Monday, the 11th of May, Discord users who subscribe to the paid Discord Nitro membership will now gain access to a starter edition of Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, we mentioned the starter tier last week.
Mm,
It does include some. Well, okay, it includes some good games, but granted, these games are 2, 3, 4 years old, so don't expect, you know,
yeah, yeah. It's
for
but
free. I
what
mean, hey,
it's official now. That's the thing. It's literally it's live as of the time of us actually recording this
right?
pod and the time you hear it. So Um, I don't know if they'll change the 50 games around. I hope they do from time to time. And there's
Mm,
still some decent ones. Listen, that starting subscription for Xbox Game Pass was still decent. It was for people that wanted to be able to play online and have a few games thrown in there for good measure. It is the good one. The serious gamers would have the one up from that.
mm.
I can't remember what it was called, like Premium or
Um,
something. And then there's Ultimate.
Ultimate, right?
Ultimate's cloud gaming, which doesn't interest me, but if it interests you, then power to you. But yeah, so you'll be able to play online with your Xbox. You'll get 50 PC and console games, which you can download. It also includes cloud streaming, but because it's a cut down version of Game Pass, this is limited to 10 hours per month. So
In 10 frames a
I
second. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it might be. I mean, we don't know the quality. But yeah, as they go on to say, like most of us have spent money on something, played it for a couple of weeks, then watch it sit in their libraries, which is very true.
Yeah.
Game Pass will essentially remove that friction, especially if it's bundled along with Discord. I believe the way to find it is at the top left where your DMs are in Discord. If you go there, there's a Nitro section, and in there, the Xbox Game Pass bit is in there. I looked for Us Grey and I couldn't see it. Really annoying. I looked in there, could not see it at all. I don't know why, because we get the year subscription up front, or if it's a different tier, but it's really frustrating regardless. But it has went live. It is a thing. So even though I don't have it, I guess it doesn't matter.
I had a.
Um,
Well, I still have Xbox Ultimate, but that was because it was a deal and it was like half off. But
yeah.
that's gonna croak in October or December. Well, I'm confused because they're extending it because of the price difference when they went more expensive and then they're giving it back to us. So I'm
Mm.
still waiting to see how that's gonna work. But I
Um,
think when I renew, I'm gonna go just the PC pass because
yeah.
I
Oh,
don't need all
100%.
the Ultimate stuff.
And they're reducing the price of that. So
Yeah.
that's we're mostly PC guys anyways, so it works out for us. Um, Existing Xbox Game Pass subscribers will also start getting Disco Nitro benefits later this month as part of their partnership, including 250 Discord orbs each month, 1.2 times
Orbs.
extra orbs when completing quests, and automatically applied Discord shop discounts. I'm not entirely sure what they are. I have done a couple of their quests. I don't know if they can go towards getting avatars and stuff cheap or cheaper, or whether they
Mm,
go towards, like it says, the shop, Discord shop, to give you discounts. I don't really know how they work, so I'm not going to pretend I do because I don't. But Gray, you should have a look in there and see if you can see it. I don't think you'll be able to because you've got Ultimate and Nitro like I do, and I couldn't see
yeah.
it. Um, because
I
if you
don't
go
even know
to
what I heard they introduced orbs, but I have no idea what the hell that means. They introduce stuff all the time, and I just go like, "Yeah, yeah, so what?"
see, see if you go to your Discord DMs at the top left and go into that, and then go into your Nitro section at the top left, you'll see all the kind of benefits that you get. You should tell me if you see an Xbox One in there because I couldn't see it in there for me, which is really
Uh,
annoying.
Let me see.
I know.
I'll let you
What
know
was the next thing?
as soon as it works.
You probably don't. You probably don't have it, to be fair. Anyway, While you're looking for that, the other thing I had news-wise here was something from a little while back that
Wait,
I was
wait, before
looking.
you go, I got it up. What did you tell me to look for
So
on the
Discord wasn't
Discord?
even open this whole time on
Yeah.
your 3 monitors.
No, it's just I accidentally closed it before. But what am I looking for?
Oh, he's very efficient.
Okay.
DMs at the top left,
Yeah.
and then Discord, Nitro at top left as well.
Nitro Home.
Yeah, and then it should
All
be
right.
there as a benefit. You'll see a bunch of boxes, and if it's there,
Let's
it's
see. Nitro. It should say something about Game Pass, I would think. So I'm
yeah,
looking.
yeah, yeah.
Win
But
more orbs at Nitro. I don't see anything that says
it
Game
doesn't for me,
Pass.
man. So it's probably because we've already got it, and we
Maybe,
bought
yeah.
Nitro up front for a year. Um, so
Well, then
when
they
it
should
comes
just extend our Nitro. That's what they should
Well,
do.
when it comes to renewal time for Xbox Game Pass or the PC Pass and or Nitro, maybe we'll get it then. So
I'm looking at what the orbs are, so maybe I can actually say something. Supposedly, it's brand new, or actually, it's considered beta. So it says explore orbs exclusives. And then it actually has Discord orbs terms. They have terms for your orbs. I mean, it's like everything else.
in case you abuse them.
So apparently,
Um,
I guess, let me see, orbs exclusives, whatever this means. Let's enlighten our audience. Uh, they have 3-day Nitro credit not available. Okay, great. Orbs Apprentice badge for, it looks to me, if I'm reading this right, for 120 orbs, you get an Orbs Apprentice badge. That's like, who cares?
you need to pay
And
orbs for a badge. I don't want a stinking badge.
yeah. And then for, oh my God, is that true? Eight that what that can't be right. 8,900 orbs will get you an infinite swirl bundle, which of course you can get anyway. If I mean, they're easy to get.
Ouch.
3,500 orbs from Magic Mists. These are all exclusive effects apparently for orb people or
Effects,
whatever.
man. Come
Yeah,
off it.
infinite swirl, pondering portals,
I've had the
magic
same effect. I've
mists.
had the same effect for ages now. I'll just keep it on that.
This is like, who cares? There's no, I really don't see anything here that's any good for
Yeah.
orbs. And the funny thing is, like, cherry surprise bundle. So that's like on Discord Nitro, you can bundle a bunch of different things in one shot. And the cherry surprise bundle is 11,000 orbs. So how long is it going to take you to get 11,000 orbs? I would think
Just
freaking forever.
just before you die, possibly you might have
Oh
enough.
my.
Anyway, we'll move
And
on
you
from
wonder
that.
why we don't like Nitro.
Move on from that.
Yeah.
Next thing on the agenda is Sega cancelling the development of their Super game. Now, if you remember, this was the Super game that was announced, I think it was 5 years ago, and it
Wow,
was
was it
going
that
to
long?
be.
Hmm.
Sorry?
I said it was that long?
Yeah. Was that
Wow.
long ago? Yeah, yeah. It was going to be around live service. Of course it was. But due to kind of some weak performances, it looks like it's not going to be a go anymore, which is a shame. I'm sure this was the game that was this. What's his name? The guy that done Death Stranding.
Oh, Kojima?
Yeah, I thought that was the one he was involved in. I had a funny feeling, but maybe this is something else. Maybe that's one that he's doing with Microsoft. I think it is. Um, I just heard rumors and murmurings of this game for quite a while. That this was a big, massive game that Sega were building that was going to be a live service game and it was going to be something different. But yeah, it's no more. However, as we know, or you may not know, I know this, that they are trying to revive a bunch of classics, including Crazy Taxi, which I adore,
Crazy
Jet Set
Taxi.
Radio, or Jet Set Grind, or Jet Grind Signed. It's called something slightly different in the States. Golden Axe, another classic, and Streets of Rage, another classic. Bringing them back, or remastering them or something would be absolutely epic. So instead of doing a big fancy, in fact, Sega, just come back and start making consoles again, please. You were always my favorite. You were always my favorite.
Hey, give us some time. They might do something like that.
When you turn on that Mega Drive for the first time and you hear Sega, it's iconic. It's just iconic, man. But yeah, so their big game's gone, The Way of the Dodo. They're working on classic games, which is probably the smart way to do it because people love good remakes, and it's a slam dunk for some extra cash. So that's that side of things. Loads of news this time around. I've got something I'm using for you, Gray. I wanted to share this with the listeners and the viewers. Wrestling and Zelda, what have they got in common?
They're both. I don't know.
You don't have
I was trying to come up with something, but I just couldn't.
Hopefully, you didn't have a sneak peek, so you don't know. I found this amusing. This was a little tidbit, a little funny thing. WWE champ Cody Rhodes said recently in his podcast that Nintendo sent him a cease and desist for wearing a Zelda Triforce on his boots.
Really?
Now, I shit you not, I'm looking at the picture. The first time around when he was wrestling, back probably in the 2000s and early 2010s, he occasionally wore like these blue boots that had the Triforce symbol at the top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a podcast called Would You Want to Talk About? And he must really be into Zelda. I mean, like, it goes without saying if it's on his boots. But he said, he joked, I live that shit dog. Literally, I quote. I thought about the principles of Triforce, which are power, courage, and wisdom. For those that don't know, Zelda's the wise one. Obviously, Link is the one who's got the courage, and the power is Ganon. They make up the three parts of the Triforce. That's the whole deal. And I just like the idea and thinking of leaning towards your own wisdom or what you've learned and applying it, or of being ambitious and want to be powerful if you can in a world that's competitive of sports and sports entertainment, then having the courage to do it. And then he goes on to say, I also got a cease and desist from Nintendo. He added, it was very kind. They weren't like, it was polite. They weren't coming after anybody. I'm not the first guy to have the Triforce, which is a first, Cody Rhodes, because normally Nintendo like to sue everything and anyone in sight. So if they were nice to you back then, they've clearly getting nasty in recent times. So
I got nastier.
I found that funny, man. I had a chuckle at that. It's like one little feckin' logo. No one would give a damn about that, right? But just because he's a wrestler and he's on TV, it's seen by everyone, and yeah.
It's kind of silly though. The thing is not
silly.
very big, and it's on his boot, and it's not like he's making a lot of money off the fact that he had that on his boot. And to be honest with you, I mean, WWE is awfully popular, so it's not going to hurt Nintendo if somebody figures out what it is,
It's
or people out there that are fans.
free publicity, isn't it?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, no. In case you were wondering, some of Cody's favorite Zelda games were Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, which are probably two of the classics everyone goes on about. So good choice there, Mr. Rhodes. Some bad news to finish off this element of the news section for me. It was inevitable. It was going to happen, and that's Nintendo announce a Switch 2 increase in price.
Of course.
They've been holding off for a long time, but there's a certain orange man in charge of tariffs that makes things difficult, and that's all I'll say in that matter. So some companies are having to put prices up or delay them for a little while and put them up, and that's what's happening here. The prices, well, certainly in Europe, the Switch 2 price will be increasing from €30 to €500 in total. And in Canada, the console will increase by $50 to $680. In the States, it's rising to $500 from $450. but it doesn't go into effect until September the 1st. So you can't say you've not been warned and you've not had the time, because this is smart, actually. This is very smart by them. Sony done something recently with PlayStation. They said their prices were going up, and they gave you like a 2-week window, and the PlayStation sales spiked quite a lot for that 2-week period. So now they're doing the same here, Nintendo. They don't want to put the price up because they don't want to alienate their customers, but they're forced to. So they're like, how long can we, like, be okay with this and still not lose too much money? How long can we eat the deficit for? And they've chosen September 1st to give people plenty of time to get in there. So I think as a little sweetener, Nintendo will be offering a Nintendo Switch 2 console bundle, which will include a digital game for $500. You have a choice of, I mean, to be fair, they're cracking choices. The choices you've got are Mario Kart World, the game that kind of launched with the open world kind of racing game for Mario Kart, Donkey Kong Bonanza, which does look epic fun, to be fair, and if I can get a good second-hand price in that car, I'll get it. And also Pokemon Pocopia, which is a bit like, from what I've read online and seen online, it's a bit like Animal Crossing, but with like Pokemon. Right. Yeah, so it's a no-brainer. It's Nintendo own a bit of that company along with the Pokemon company, so that's a cash cow. They're always coming out with Pokemon games, and that's genius, actually, if you ask me.
Why don't they just do a Pokemon version of Frogger? Remember that?
Oh, Frogger, man. Oh, Frogger. I loved that. That was what a game.
That game was so much fun, trying to get the stupid toad across the traffic, right?
Oh, man.
You imagine you use like Pikachu and then gets hit by a car.
But he's not got electrical blast, so he could just like blow the car out of the.
Yeah, there you go. Now we're talking.
Exactly, man. So, yeah, so there won't be as many sales of Switch 2 because of rising costs of things. I mean, between tariffs and RAM increase, I'm surprised it's still $450. I mean, I got it. What is it in the UK? It doesn't say anything about an increase in price in the UK, actually, which is surprising. But I mean,
I'm
that's
waiting for them to say it's the oil prices that have gone up that have done it too, because they're plastic parts and plastics made from oil.
Well, probably that as well, Gray. To be honest, I'm not really surprised by that.
Again, all the reasons to raise the price. Listen, we can raise it $10 and cover our costs, or 25 and make a little more.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. But yeah, that's what I've got for now, until further game news later on.
All right. I guess I'll launch into my little game news thing.
Yeah.
I found this article. I don't really keep track of Twitch like I used to, but I did see something I didn't even know was going on. It says Twitch has new penalties for streamers caught view botting. So I'm like, what's this? And it goes, the company's taking new steps to crack down on people caught artificially inflating their viewership stats. So apparently, channels identified as persistently view botting will apply a cap to the streamer's concurrent views for a fixed period of time. That's pretty serious, because if you're trying to build an audience and they're going to cap you, that's not great. But then again, if you are cheating and inflating your numbers with a third party program or however it's done, I get it. He said that the cap would be based on historical data regarding that creator's non-view botted traffic. So in other words, if they catch him using a view bot and his data increases by 50%, they're going to cap it back down 50% to where it should be historically. So, and from what I'm understanding, this is quite rampant going on, some of this stuff. So it's like, okay. Third-party tools make a stream appear that it has more live viewers than it really does. Effectively combating view botting is a challenge as we deploy updates to our real-time detection algorithms. Say that 10 times fast. View botting companies quickly respond with updates to avoid detection. Of course they do. Apparently, I didn't know this. This is not the first time that they've tried to crack down on view botting. And it says here that back in 2021, it took down 7.5 million bot accounts. I'm like,
wow.
I thought it was a little thing, and I'm going like 7.5 million people were using these things. That's
Wow.
like that's a lot, man.
It
So,
is.
yeah, so if you're, still online doing Twitch, I don't know if it's as big as it used to be honest.
Mm.
Maybe our people could tell us that. But, yeah, so if you got a view bot trying to jack your numbers up, it, looks like you're gonna be in for trouble, or they're gonna be
Um,
lowering it, and you want to
yeah,
you
hey, don't get me started in Twitch, man. Those guys are the robbers. Like the amount of money they charge you, they've taken so much more of the share of the streamers than they did
yeah,
back in the day. They take a big chunk of it. They clamp down a lot of stuff. Their Twitch Turbo, which is a way to watch without ads, is something like $12 or £12 a month, something like that's ridiculous, just
right,
ad free. I'm sorry, I paid slightly more than that a month for ad free YouTube Premium, and it's way better in value. So it's the
yeah,
same as Discord Nitro, mate. You have to actually give, like, you want to charge someone $10, £10, whatever, that's fine, but give them value. Discord Nitro was never value until now, until the Xbox games were added in, and
yeah.
Twitch isn't. So them try to crack down. And I wonder why. Like maybe they are generally losing a lot of money. I think
Discord
Twitch
or
was making a
or,
profit for a long time, bro.
well, I know Discord, at one time, they were talking about going public, but they never did, and
That would be worth buying shares in, man. Discord.
And
It's
maybe not
very
so much
popular. No,
now.
great, great. I know you and I don't like it much, but it's popular.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes money, you know.
Although I see action, I guess it depends on the Discord, but I see Discords that I thought would be ultra busy by their content, not that busy. Not that they're slow, they're not slow, but I expected it to be a lot busier, and they're not. Sometimes you can go into some of the Discords where and I still don't understand this, but you'll see whatever subject matter it might be. And instead of having like 3 rooms or 5 rooms or 6 rooms, they have like 25, 30, 35 rooms. And I'm like, why? So I go into each room just because I'm curious. And I would say 2/3 of the rooms, they haven't had a posting in there for 6 months. And I'm like, so what's the room there for then? To make it look great, but I mean, it's not
Yep.
really accomplishing anything.
And we have a rule about that in ours. We don't have any rooms in our Discord that are sat with nothing in them
Right.
for months at a time. Otherwise, they just go because it's a waste of space.
I mean, at least ours, we don't really have that many compared to some Discords.
True.
And we don't
Aye,
really need to have that many, so, you know.
some of them are exhausting to look at the amount of actual rooms than chat rooms and category rooms they've got down the left. It scrolls for pages, and it's just a wall of mess and mayhem in front of you and chaos. Too much.
Yeah. Anywho, next story, I thought this was interesting. Atari acquires the rights to the legendary Wizardry RPGs. And I started reading into the article, and I remember these games, and I think this
I
is gonna
do
be an
not.
interesting
Tell me
thing,
about them.
and I think Atari's making a good move. Anyway, they announced today the acquisition of the complete and exclusive rights to the first 5 Wizardry games and their underlying IP. So that means everything, no matter what
Yeah.
or where they've been used, whether it's a game, whether it's merchandise, whether it's whatever. They bought the whole thing lock, stock, and barrel. They don't say how much they paid for it. But basically, the games were Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, 1981. That goes back. Wizardry 2, The Knight of Diamonds, 82. Wizardry 3, Legacy of, I can't even pronounce this, like Gammon, 83. Number 4, Return of Wordna, 87. Wizardry 5, Heart of the Maelstrom, 1988. Now, a lot of these games were on computers from long ago, even before I got a computer. So obviously they're basically, I don't know if there's anything lower than 8-bit, but if
Ray,
there
you remember
is,
those games? You remember these games vividly. You remember you were probably like well established when these games came about back in the day. Come on.
I mean, I don't remember playing these particular games, but at the same time, I do recall the names and stuff. Their concept, at least what they want to do, with this is Atari wants to bring all this back because they know that there was fans of the games.
Yeah.
They said the original Wizardry NES, SNES, and PC games, as well as the underlying IP, including spells, characters, places, monsters from the original Wizardry universe, have been unavailable to developers and fans for more than 25 years.
Damn. Okay.
So interesting. So they said Atari is excited to bring these genre-defining games back to the market through expanded digital and physical distribution and the creation of remasters, collections, and new releases. In addition, game publishing will be complemented by the release of merchandise, board games, books, comics, TV, and film projects. So when I
Damn.
said they bought the whole IP, they bought the whole IP.
Damn.
So I mean, I don't know if I would say it was a gamble, but the only thing is if a lot of this stuff hasn't been available for 25 years, is it going to make a comeback of some sorts? I think it would be interesting. I mean, if they could do
Well,
it.
Atari's another company there that I wished would start making hardware again, because like some of the Atari consoles from back in the day
Yeah.
were legendary and epic. I never remember the names of them. I just remember the one that's got like the plastic and wood effect in the front, and the cartridge slotted in at an angle at the top, and you had the little knobs that you pulled up and down, black and
Yeah.
white, and I've got an emulation one of them at the moment, and you have obviously the controller that was like the old joystick, like
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was like square. And it had the joystick in the middle,
with
and then
one button
around it
on
was
it.
like a black like thing, so it wouldn't look you
Yeah.
couldn't see the electronics underneath.
Oh
Almost looked
man.
like a stick shift of some of the old cars or something or
It's
whatever. But
it's good times, man. Good memories.
yeah,
These old consoles, and Atari still have access to some popular franchises and names out there. You still see their name pop up for some games, and from time to time. They're another company like Sega, who used
mm,
to make great hardware now, who just make games now, which is a damn shame because. But then I don't think you could compete, Gray, against PlayStation and Xbox, especially PlayStation now.
yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason Sega went out of hardware business.
Oh
The
yeah.
Sony PlayStation come along and killed it. They were keeping up with Nintendo. They were going head to toe with them, and then Sony come out and just killed them.
I
Shame.
think a couple of the companies like Atari that's still there, even though they're much smaller, this is a good idea for them because they're jumping onto things that they used to be involved with years ago and
Yeah,
haven't touched in decades. And now because there's such a thing about, a retro going on with everybody
yeah,
wanting to play the older games. But not just that, what I think is really interesting is a lot of people want to see remakes with up to date graphics of these games that they played because they're thinking like, wow, this would be neat if they were able to like put it out looking like today. And this is what they're talking about too. And if you are a player of these games, they did want to let you know that there are three other titles, the Wizardry 6, 7, and 8, but they're owned by Japanese publishing company Dracom and are based on a totally different fictional universe. So they did not buy that. They bought everything, prior to it.
mm,
It says here 2024 Atari Studio Digital Eclipse published a remake of the very first title in the franchise, Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. Love these names. That ingeniously layered modern graphics over largely text-based Apple II original. So some of these games don't even have graphics; they're text-based games like DOS. You can remember going back to some of those.
yeah.
Uh,
I never liked him, mate. I never liked him, and to
I
each their
didn't either
own.
because
But
it was hard to kind of
yeah, do you
visualize.
know?
But board game people, because a lot of that is your total imagination. We're into it,
Do you know
you
what the
know.
text games remind me of? The text games remind me of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, yeah,
You just
yeah,
make shit up and you go along, and
yeah.
you're like, because there's not a game, like there's not a GUI, there's not graphics and something
Hmm.
in front to directly interact with as such, that
Yeah, you used to get on
an
on
imagination.
the internet boards or whatever they used to call them, and
Uh,
somebody would become, well, dungeon master, but back then they didn't even know what to call it, so it wasn't dungeon master, but it was whatever. And they would sit there and just like you said, that's a good analogy. They would just sit there and go like, "And I'm on top of a mountain with a sword," and then the next guy goes, "And a dragon appears and tries to eat your head off," and then the other guy.
not for me. Teach their own. Listen, I'm not knocking anyone that plays Dungeons and Dragons.
Hey, look,
I'm knocking myself for not having an imagination. That's all.
if the stories of those games back then were good and they were able to actually I don't even know if you can call it a remake. I mean, it is a remake only because something existed before. But if
Mm,
if it was a text-based game, it's almost like a brand new game in a way. So
okay.
that's gonna be really interesting. I don't know. Sorry, doggy. I don't know
What
when this is.
did you do to your dog?
I just, I
You just
dropped.
kick your dog. Poor
I know I
Coco.
dropped something, and he just goes. She just goes like, "What the hell was that?"
Oh, because she normally sits at your feet. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, she's right down there. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. I think it's either going to turn out to be something that's going to be fairly successful or crash and burn real fast. I don't think it's going to be anything in the middle. I really don't.
I
It's
think
going to
that's
either
cool.
do it or not.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't
Interesting.
imagine paying a lot of money for it either. I'm really curious. You would think there'd be a rumor here somewhere that says they paid XYZ for it. It must have been cheap. I mean, that's the only thing I can think
Yeah,
of.
yeah. Well, Atari are not skint. They're not broke.
No,
So
no, no. Well, they almost got broke, and then they kind
uh,
of,
true, true,
hung in there, which is good. I
true.
mean, they hung in there, and now they're on a resurgence a little bit, so not bad.
Mm,
Last story I thought was interesting, just to try to put this into, what would you call it? Maybe a fair perspective. I don't know if that's the right word. But in any case, Sony has said efficient, in quotes, AI tools will lead to even more games flooding the market. But they also say, but human artists still remain at the center. So for people that are concerned about AI and what they're going to do with games and et cetera, I'm trying to play this fair, down the line. But all I can do is tell you what they said. So Sony Interactive Entertainment president and CEO Hideaki Nishino, I hope I said that right, noted that Sony expects to see meaningful. This is him quoting now. Meaningful increase in the volume and diversity of content available to players in the near future. That increases the inevitable result of AI development. They're very careful how they say this. AI development tools
mhm,
that are lowering barriers to creation, accelerating development cycles, and enabling more creators to enter the market. Sounds good if that's what it's supposed to be used for.
mhm.
Sony is already using AI tools to automate repetitive workflows in areas like quality assurance, 3D modeling, and animation. And I'm going to step back for a second and compare that to in the motion pictures when CGI came around, and
Yep.
then CGI started to get a little better. That's exactly what they did. Like for instance, with Disney, I believe if I remember correctly, the Little Mermaid, when it came out back in '90, whatever it was the last movie that was totally hand drawn cells, one after the other, thousands of them,
Wow.
which is how they did it in the old days and stuff. And then since then, when CGI started coming along and you're able to do a bunch of different things, you would then only have to animate like half the cells or a third of the cells because everything in between the computer would figure out and then repeat. So if you had to
Mhm,
do 1,000 frame, I'm just going to make this up, 1,000 frames for 5 seconds of film or
mhm.
10 seconds or whatever it was, now you can just make the first couple, the last couple, and the computer fills it all in. Now this has been going on for many years. So they didn't call it AI then; it was computer graphics. That's what it became known for. And in those respects, CGI really worked well because it did do what they said here, and that is taking over repetitive tasks, speeding up development cycles, which is a major thing. So Sony's basically saying that this is what we're going to use our AI tools for. We want it to just lower these barriers, accelerate things, animate things faster, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see if that how that bears true, but this is what they're saying. It also said that includes 3D animation tool called. This is interesting. That includes a 3D animation tool called Mockingbird. Never heard this. That
Right.
Nishina said allows Sony artists to convert raw motion capture data into in-game animation much faster. While this tool can't replace the motion capture actors themselves, they're real careful how they word that.
Oh,
It
yes.
means that the animation work that would have taken hours can now be completed in a fraction of a second. So that's good from a work standpoint or what you need to accomplish. Sony Group President and CEO Hiroki
It's
Totaki,
okay.
yeah, praised the increased efficiency enabled by AI tools, saying it would in turn lead to more innovative and ambitious projects that were previously difficult to pursue due to constraints of cost and time. Okay, we'll see. AI models can already outperform manual curation, meaning humans, when it
Yes.
comes to suggesting new games players might enjoy. Nishino said, I don't know why I said might. You should have just been positive. So you'll enjoy it. Nishino said, and could also soon also suggest the next gameplay moment, subscription, accessory, or merchandise is best reflects their passion. So it gets into some wordsmithing right there because he's trying to be easy on what he's saying about replacing people, as opposed to this being an assist, which is
Mhm.
what we hope it would be. It says despite Sony's bullishness on AI games development potential, the company stopped well short of suggesting that AI could replace game designers wholesale or make entire games from scratch. Nishino said directly that, quote, AI is meant to augment developers' capabilities, not to replace them, and that humans will always be responsible for the vision, the design, and the emotional impact of our games.
Right.
So we can hope that that's what they mean, or whether it's just corporate BS. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, so we're going to see in the future. Nishino suggested that Sony's development teams have created prototypes where NPCs with their own personalities can create a living, dynamic world for the player to explore, and that's already happening. It's unclear what role human art. I like this. It's unclear what role human artists would have in a world where NPCs can have their own AI generated possibilities,
Mhm.
but it would be a far cry from the role they play in game development today. So basically, they're telling you like this could be great stuff in producing new games, which it could, and at the
Mhm.
same time, they're not going to make any guarantees that it's not going to replace more and more humans as it goes along. So I don't know. I know I'm all for it for a tool, and
Oh,
if the tool allows you to get something done quicker or better or whatever, that's fine. I mean,
well,
that's inevitable.
I've always said in the past that it is just a tool. That's it. If it's used
Mhm.
as such, it's got a place. But some people, some companies were just using it as like a one-stop shop
Yeah.
for too many things, like for creating too much in a game, and it was kind of ruining it because you
Mhm.
weren't doing a great job a lot of the time, and they were taking jobs away from people. But if it's used to do repetitive things and help as a tool, I think it's a great idea. That's essentially what we use it for in my company, as a
Mm.
tool to help, not to replace anyone or any jobs. And that's exactly what it should be used for. And people should be transparent because people are getting a bit sick of it now. All the AI shit on social media,
Oh
all sick
God.
of it. Like you see something, you go, "Is that real?" And then legally, well, not legally, but the rules of some platforms you have to put if it's AI at the bottom, and you
Yeah.
click on more in the description, you say AI info underneath, and you go, "Right, I knew that was shit." So it's just full of garbage. So people need to be transparent when they use it and what they use it for, and that's only down to rules and laws, I think, being made.
Yeah,
So
and I think those are coming along. They're coming along a little late, but they're coming along. I
they
think,
have to.
like you, I think everything should be denoted whether you used AI or not, just so that people would know and can choose to accept or whatever they want.
Mm,
But some stuff is looking so good and so real that a lot of people can't tell the difference, or they don't pay enough attention to know a difference.
yeah.
People in the industry know what to look for, and there are simple things you can do. Always look at the background when you're seeing these things, because a lot of times the background will not change as much. It doesn't look natural enough, but you're not really paying attention to the background as much as it kind of blends in with the rest of the video. They also say to look at hands, feet, look at other surrounding objects like a glass of water or whatever laying around. If those things seem to start changing or morphing, right there, it's AI. So it's really more not the characters in the center, which is most important and draws your attention. But if you want to pay attention to everything else surrounding that, you probably will be able to tell whether it's AI or not. just from
Mm.
that. Just a little tip that might help some people out there when they're looking for stuff. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
as it used to be the days where you could have 7 fingers on your hand or no toes or or whatever. So you'd be able to figure it out really easy. But now it's gotten so good that that's not really happening much anymore.
Do you not remember the early examples, like the one of Will Smith? Remember
Yeah,
that
eating the
of Will
spaghetti.
Smith?
Yeah,
And he looked
yeah.
like a spaghetti face or something, it was awful, and that was only 2, 3 years ago, and yet it looks way better.
Will Smith's gonna live forever in that thing right there. Because every time they come out with a new technology, what do? They make a Will Smith video.
Oh, yeah,
They say,
true.
"See how good it is now?"
Yeah,
It's like,
that's
"Whoa."
true.
So, yeah, so hopefully we'll get, the right kind of people will use this and put it into games that they can get out in less than 3 years. That's the main thing I would like to see instead of having to wait 3 years plus. You think you can do it in 1.5 maybe?
Nah, never.
2 at the most? I mean, 2 at the most would be fine. I mean, that's still a long time, but 2 at the most would be fine. But
Top
when you get
top
past 2,
AAA games take 4 or 5 years to make. Easy. Easy.
I I wonder if, I'm just curious, but I wonder if, like, Star Citizen is thinking about using more AI. They might actually be able to get their first edition out after 10 years, maybe.
Oh, they need even more money? Really? Nah,
I don't know.
nah.
It would be interesting. I wonder if they're using it now. They're not gonna say, most
No,
likely,
probably not.
especially with
Probably
people
not.
that have put money into it or whatever, but, hey, I don't know. Anywho, we're gonna go back to some more game news, from Trev this time.
Yeah, I kinda, like I broke mine into 2 sections. I kinda morph hardware and gaming news stuff together. You probably noticed
Oh,
that
say it isn't
already.
so.
Yeah, say it isn't so, I know. I should have 2 more distinct categories, but I kinda don't. I just don't wanna be talking for an hour because that's just
Mhm.
enough too much for anyone. There was, 1 or 2 things that are not even on the agenda that I actually just saw that I was gonna bring up, um, because of the RAM shortage at the moment. There was a lot of kind of rumors and speculation going on about what the PS6 may or may not have when it comes out, and there was heavy rumors that they were wanting to try and put 32 gig of RAM on each machine, but realistically, they're probably
That'll
going
never
to have.
happen.
Well, no, it is the dream, and they just price it
Yeah,
accordingly, don't they? But I
yeah.
mean, because of the cost, realistically, it's probably going to be more like 24. Because I think at the moment consoles have like what 16 current gen. So, you would like to think that you keep doubling it, but yeah, realistically, um, putting another 8 gig or so on there is probably the best thing in terms of
I'm
cost.
surprised they can work on 16. That seems like
Well,
way,
it, it is, but I mean, think about it. Like, if you have like a laptop, right? A normal
mm,
gaming laptop, for example, or not just a desktop as well, but I'm thinking laptops often have 16 gig of RAM in them. You can game with that, depending on what game you have,
mm,
because Windows is very smart in this respect where it will adapt its RAM usage to what you've got. So it can use loads of RAM or it can use less RAM depending on how much you've got. And some games take a lot less RAM to actually run. They take a lot of VRAM more than anything else.
yeah.
So I think well, and also as well out of the 16, like a couple of that will be for the OS and system operations in the background.
Mhm.
So not whole you might find that only 12 or 13 are actually available to the developer. So, but yeah, I love the concept pictures that people are putting out of what the PS6 should look like, and it looks ugly just like the PS5. It really does, to be honest with you. It's like, yeah, some kind of like black, weird looking box thing. Um, I think there's a far more realistic option of that happening, and also as well that realistically there'd be a 1 terabyte SSD out instead of a 2 terabyte because again cost because
Yeah,
the PS5 Pro at the moment's got two terabytes on it because it's a Pro model. So I think a terabyte would be the norm, and they are finding ways to try and cut back game sizes and stuff using things that we've discussed about in the past, like compression techniques and whatnot.
yeah.
And so maybe games won't be as big. But yeah, that is kind of pretty interesting. That was like something I didn't have in the notes, but I wanted to mention it. And another thing, also not notes, but that I also wanted to mention was there is, I think I'd said in the past, there was going to be more DLC for Resident Evil. I don't think it's later this year at some point, which I'm looking forward to because I will buy that because I loved the last game and it sold really, really well. So Capcom have a winner there. But there is a mode at the moment out that you can get. It's kind of like, I kind of think of it like horde mode, I guess, essentially, where you're playing as Leon and you go through different levels of difficulty against kind of waves of enemies. And the only way to be able to play this mod is to have completed the game, which is fair, I think. It's something for you to look forward to at the end.
Give you something else to
Um,
do after.
Exactly. And you'll like this as well, Gray. Like, I don't usually talk much about this. Mod Corner, bringing it back for a one-off special. Um,
Yeah,
it
I will
all
have to bring it back.
You could if you had something relevant for it. Now, we might just bring these things back if and when required, you know. Um, Resident Evil Requiem, aka Resident Evil 9, already looks pretty stunning, especially on the PCs, as we saw. Hans and I were kind of driving it at its best settings, and it does look stunning. But there's a mod that pushes ray tracing and path tracing even further with 11 options that just
11?
literally just push it from great to absolutely batshit crazy out of this world. Which, you know, your hardware's probably going to start bleeding and crying out in pain because it's
That
just
means
too
it's up
much.
to us with 5090s to try it to tell everybody.
But not for Matt because he's part of the peasant club. Love you, Matt. But yeah, so I mean, one thing, because we're on the Resident Evil train at the moment, we've got the time. One thing that I think it was the head of Resident Evil studio,
I think
Capcom.
heads like heads,
Head honcho,
in the game,
boss
heads.
man. The whole DLSS 5 kind of rage online. He said that he was happy with the way the main character, Grace, looked. And that they went with the right look for her and the right kind of feel, because when you saw the demo or the picture of them making her look better with that DLSS 5.0 on, she looked horrible, as a lot of people said. And she did. She didn't look natural at all, whereas she already looked good to begin with. So don't be surprised if Capcom don't get on the old bandwagon with that one, or at least make it an option. But I
As long as
am,
you can turn it off, you're good.
yeah, exactly. Always give the toggle to, otherwise it's no good. But I do look forward to the expansion DLC's expansion for that game, because I really, really did enjoy it. And the other games I don't really play through a second time because there's so many games to play. So give me new content. Anyhow,
They need to bring back that really tall lady. I forgot what her name was. Remember the really
is that
tall?
from Village? The tall, really tall, with
Yeah,
the hat and the
yeah.
heels. Yeah.
That was a cool character.
Well, yeah, but she was nowhere near as freaking as scary as some of the bad guys in Requiem. Jesus Christ, there was whatever. There's just some horrendous, freaky looking ones in there. But yeah, the stuff I did have noted down as well. I like to keep on date with this one. Our pals at MindsEye Studio, the one of the studios in Edinburgh here. They have laid. I shouldn't laugh at this. I'm just laughing at the state of the business rather than anything else. They've
Yeah.
laid off 170 employees, following parodying alleged attacks. It's all to do with this legal action and stuff that's going on at the moment. And in literally the last week or two, that was 170 people gone. This is the third time now that the studio's laid off people in the past year.
So what, they got nobody
And,
left now?
well, people have probably done that as well. But the thing is,
Yeah.
right, they've only got about 80 developers left. That isn't enough to make a AAA game. That's enough to maybe maintain something,
Wait
update
a minute
something.
now. Expedition 33 was not made with a lot of people.
No, well, that's AAA quality, but normally, what was it, 30 odd people or something made that game, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I find that pretty interesting because there literally was a release and update on April the 28th, like a new update for MindsEye, which I've got. I've got it for PlayStation, by the way, and it being patched, it's actually a bit more enjoyable to play. It's like a poor man's version of GTA, for those that are wondering. But yeah, the CEO, a chap called Mark Gerhard, um, was talking about the criminal activity when he was talking about the sabotage of his studio. If you remember me recently talking about this, um, and because of this, they actually ended up ending their partnership with the studio and cancelling the upcoming Hitman crossover DLC because they were actually going to be doing like a cross between the two franchises.
Hmm.
So we never like to see people lose their jobs, and it happens too often.
Yeah.
It seemed like this year wasn't as bad for that compared to last year. Like last year, it seemed like every other week we were coming on and talking about that, and it seemed to have
Yeah.
slowed down a bit. Touch wood this year, but then there's 170 just gone there. So,
I think
uh,
some of the news, there may be more going on, but the news is slowing down with it because how often can you read how many people get let go every week? It's like, it's crazy.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
100% is. Especially it's in a kind of genre that we love. I don't see people lose their jobs that way. Um, Continuing on with the little funny articles, one that connected. Well, it's not connected. It's connected to the funny article I mentioned earlier on in the recording. Was you've heard of a game called Kingdom Come Deliverance 2? Yeah,
Of
like 1 and 2.
course.
Yeah, yeah. Have you played any of them? Great.
I started to play the newest one. I got in maybe an hour or two, and I haven't gotten back to it yet.
Oh, typical man. That's a
Too many
great.
other games, man. It's like crazy. I will be getting. I mean, the two games like right now. Not that that's not a good game. It is, but the two games I'm really looking forward to is Bond First Light. Is it First Light? I always keep forgetting.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to the Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So those are probably the two I will jump on and play a bunch.
When's Resynced out again? Remind me.
July.
July. Okay,
Man,
that's fine. Yeah.
yeah, it's in July, but I just trying to remember the date exactly.
That's all right. I just wondered how soon it was. You know, it's only a couple of months away, so that's
Yeah.
easy peasy. Anyway,
Well, the Bond game will be out in just what a
end of the
week.
month,
Let's see, 27th. So we still got what, 2
couple more
weeks?
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
and
cool.
they're
Yeah,
supposed to
there's
be mailing my. I bought the fancy edition with all the doodads. So supposedly I'm supposed to get it shipped, and it will arrive on or before the 27th. That's what they
yeah,
said.
you'll get it
I hope
before.
so.
They say
They
that
better
to
give me the code before then, because if all the special stuff doesn't come in time, that's okay as long as I have the code.
well, they
You
don't
know?
want it leaking early unless it's like a preload thing. You often can do that. You can preload
Yeah.
something, you know. This is a good year for games. To be fair, there's a lot of good stuff going out. Anyway,
Mhm.
the reason I brought up Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is because I like random things like this. It's getting its own perfume.
It's getting what?
Its own perfume.
Oh, geez, you gotta be kidding me.
No, I'm
Who came
not.
up with this brilliant idea?
So, to give you a bit more context, developer Warhorse Studios and fragrance company, oh God, here we go, Kinsuki Perfumes, I'll probably butcher that, both of which are based in Prague in the Czech Republic, have collaborated in a limited edition scent based in the game. It's titled, oh God, here we go, Kingdom Come Eau de Parfum. I think that's the best I'm
That's
going to
the
get in terms of
that's the
French.
French word for perfume, basically, I think.
Oh no, no shit, Sherlock. You don't say, Gray. You don't
But
say.
here's the thing that's funny about that, though. So if you suppose you're making a perfume and you say it's about the game, or you even the first thing you're gonna think about is it realistic or something like that,
Oh,
right?
it'll
And of
be.
course, everybody back then smelled like, I'm sorry, but they
Yeah,
smelled
you
like
beat me
shit.
to it, man.
And so now you're like,
So it'll smell like an old knight's armpit or
Oh,
crotch. Then
geez,
is that what we're
man.
saying? Yeah.
I can just see it now. Like, they try to capture the odor of somebody just as they take off their armor. Woo!
Oh
Yeah,
no!
wear this stuff. You'll smell great.
I told you it was batshit crazy. It
It
was
is.
so it'll be a 50 ml bottle, and it'll be $183, which is
Oh my god.
€156, and I have no clue what that is in pounds.
That's enough to buy 2 or 3 games.
Well, it's perfume. It's more expensive. It's created by Perfumer. Is that someone that makes perfume? Must be Perfumer.
Who knows?
Martin Savage. And it's inspired. Wait for it, Gray. This is the actual answer now. By ingredients found by the game's protagonist Henry, such as apples, honey, sage, chamomile, lavender, and testicles. No, I just made up the last
Yeah,
part. It,
I
it
believe
may
that
as
part.
well.
So one character went out and picked a few herbs and made something in the game, and they just go, "Oh, perfume. Let's make one after
That's
that."
it.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, that cracked me up. I thought people would like a little chuckle of that. There's actually
Yeah.
like a little YouTube video and stuff and everything on it, man. Go and like
Did they?
search. Guys. Yeah. Oh, there's a description
No.
of the scent. Here we go. Right.
Oh,
Right.
no, 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 no,
No,
no.
I need to put on the voice and everything.
Go
No, I
ahead,
won't
go
put on the
ahead.
voice. I won't do that. That's cringe. So it says crisp apple and fresh herbs open the path, echoing the story. You move through lavender, mint, and chamomile. Unfold with a quiet calm, softened by a hint of rose and elderflower, touched by a trace of forest honey and wild sage. What a load
Sure.
of shite.
Yes. I could have written that. Hell, I could have had AI write better.
It goes on and talks more, but I'm going to stop there. Yeah, like that's it does talk about armor in this as well, which is ironic. I'm surprised it didn't
What?
bottle some of that
No,
up.
read that part. What's it got to do with armor?
No, it's not really linked. It was talking
Oh,
about
okay.
armor being involved into tailored suits, horses into machines. Charisma
Sure.
obeys the same rules it always has. So like I told you, it wasn't actually directly connected with that.
Which proves my point about everything smelling like crap. It's the horses, the armor. What do you get when you follow a horse?
Oh well, that's the follow up fragrance, Grace. So
I get
anyway,
it.
right,
Follow up.
we'll move on. We'll move on from the lull to something a bit more serious.
Okay.
Subnautica
Yes.
2 storms towards early access launch this week. By the time you've listened or watched this, it'll be out with over 5 million wish lists on Steam. Pre-orders are now live. Now,
Wow.
not surprised by this at all. Subnautica, very, very popular. The follow-up from, I can't remember what that's fucking called, something to do with a frost.
You talking about the DLC
Although,
on the
yeah, no,
original?
it wasn't DLC. It was kind of like a mini standalone game in its own. But anyway, those two games were very, very popular. The first one had a great little story. I've never completed it yet. One of 10 million fucking games that I've not gotten to on top of. And this is from co-founders Crafton, who bought over Unknown Worlds and that whole suing thing with money that I was talking about in the last couple of episodes. But it is in early access by the time you listen to this, I'm pretty sure. I'm surprised with all the money and time and experience that they still need to bring a game out in early access. But hey ho, if it's cheap and reasonable, who really cares? So yeah, if you're into Subnautica and you want to add that to your wish list or buy it just now, I have no clue how much it costs. I haven't checked that, but and I don't know if it's a follow-on of the story or anything as such, because I haven't completed the first one, so I couldn't say. But I'm not surprised by the number of wish list entries, considering it, and I'll probably make quite a bit of money as well, to be fair. So
I'm surprised it's 5 million because I thought, I don't know, 1 million or 2, but 5 million, that's a lot.
it's a very popular franchise, Gray.
Yeah, no, I played the first game. Again, I didn't complete it either, but yeah, that's pretty good.
It's like Rust underwater.
A lot
But yeah,
cleaner.
Yeah. The last thing I've got on my list, which is something iconic in terms of an old school game, everyone remembers Star Fox. You remember
Yeah,
Star Fox,
yeah,
right? Sure,
yeah,
God,
yeah.
even if you never played it or you know of it. So essentially, your Nintendo franchise, the Fox character with all his little goofy looking animal pals. People thought when this was coming out that it was going to be like a new entry in the Star Fox franchise, and it's not, unfortunately. However, it's essentially Star Fox 64 remade, which is ironic because it's a remake of an earlier game, like it was a NES or a SNES game. Um, I saw a picture, I saw a video of it, and do you want to know something? It looks stunning for the Switch 2. I mean, this
Yeah.
is the Switch 2 finally stretching its legs because it's got DLSS built into it. It looks great for it. But the problem is that game could be completed in an hour back in the day. It was really, really quick, and you could replay it and do different things because there's only like 9 big levels in it.
Mm.
But I think it's going to be priced accordingly, which is good. They're saying here $50 digitally, 60 for the physical edition, but I'm seeing it as cheap as £42 digitally in the UK with a physical edition of 50. So, it's not priced at AAA because it's a much smaller game.
Right.
But you kind of hope this does really, really well because then they'll make a follow-up, hopefully. I believe, I've never seen it, the Super Galaxy movie has, what's his name?
What's the
Um,
character?
the Fox guy in it. What's his name?
Yeah.
Fox McCloud. That's it. It has a cameo of him in it. So I hear. So I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that's kind of encouraging. That's a big deal that we want it to sell and do well so that it can possibly see what's going on. So lastly, just before I finish that article, while it might not be a really, really big game, it'll have its campaign mode, but it'll, have 3 difficulty levels: easy, normal, and expert. So you can go back and replay it again. A challenge mode, new layers layered on top of already completed levels not available in the campaign, and a battle mode, online 4 via 4. So, you could say, I still don't think that's a fantastic price, Gray. I think it's still a wee bit
Yeah.
too much, but at least it's not like the $70, $80 mark. It is less than that. So, I mean, go and check out, guys, if that's your cup of tea, you like Nintendo games, you like Star Fox. It does look, I'm tempted to buy it just because it looks stunning, but what I'll probably do is wait for it to be out for a while, get a second-hand digital, physical copy. And according to this, the footage that they've checked out online appears to run at 60 FPS docked with an underlying resolution of 1080p scaled up to 1440p. I wish they'd upscaled that to 4K, but like 2K, well, it's actually not 2K really. 1440p at 60 FPS. 60 FPS is the important thing here for a game like that. It
Yeah.
has to be, because you're moving about really fast. 30 wouldn't work. Um, I'm looking forward to getting that at a good price. But yeah, that's certainly for the moment, Mr. Gray. That is all the news I've got on my end.
Actually, to throw in something on what you were talking about before,
Yep,
Subnautica 2 is going to cost $30 USD.
that'll be
Great
£25
price,
then,
but
surely.
the better news is that Subnautica 2 will be included in Xbox Game Pass at launch. Yep.
No.
So we get to play it for free.
Well, I
More or
haven't
less.
played other ones, so that's kind of.
Yeah. So if you have Xbox Game Pass people out there, you can play it right now, or by the time you hear this.
I'm going to check
So
out the. I'm going to check out the actual price of it in the UK, but you carry on, Greg, because I'd
well, if it's
imagine it'd be
30
£25.
years, it's going to be like what,
Fact,
25
oh
over
no, it's
there?
even less than that.
Yeah.
£23 and 39 pence. That is
Yeah.
very, very. I'm tempted to buy that outright. Never mind, get it on the pass because that will be something I won't always
Yeah.
have the pass.
It's pretty cheap.
And
I mean, I'm surprised. That's
yeah,
really
and you better
fair
get it when
price.
it's in early access, mate. In fact, do you want to know something? You know what we really have to do, considering that's the official Steam price?
Mhm.
We should check out our old pals at Loaded, aka CD Keys, and I bet you it's even cheaper there. Let's see, wait for it. Oh, it's out of stock. It is out of stock, waiting
It's
for it
out of
to come
stock
back.
already.
But it would have been cheaper than, the Steam price.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I'm going to put a notification in for that, actually. I want to get that. I don't care if it's free on Game Pass, because that's something you want to have in your library.
Hey, I
Anyway,
got
yeah,
Game
carry
Pass
on,
for a few
Mr.
more
Gray.
months, so I'm okay. Anyway, yeah, we'll move on. Gonna go back to a little bit of hardware news that I pulled up to talk about a little bit. This is a little far off, but I thought it was still kind of interesting. PCIe 8.0. We're messing with 5 and 6 is coming, and we're talking 8 now.
Wow.
And it's going to have up to 1 terabyte a second of bandwidth. 1 terabyte a second. I'm like, holy moly. It's going to have new connector technology. The specs hit a 0.5 volt milestone. So it's not going to take a lot of power, apparently. They said that they've just finished working up the specs and stuff. It says the transfer rate supported by the new interconnection will reach 256 GTs. What's that? Giga what?
5 gigabit transfers a second.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Enabling up to 1 terabyte TBS bidirectional. So both
wow.
ways it's going that fast. Jeez.
Uh,
VS X16 configuration. There's a lot more stuff in here that just gets too technobabble, but with the draft available, the PCIe 8.0 standard continues to progress towards final ratification in 2028. So once it's ratified, of course, it's going to be another couple of years. So we're not looking until maybe 2030 to see this, but we haven't even seen. But I don't even know if they're doing 7. Are they just going to skip 7? I guess so.
That doesn't make any sense. Like 5 was the top one that's just come out. 6 has been ratified and no, 6 is. I don't know what's going on there. Like 6 is being ratified and don't know when it'll be out, but it will come out at some point. So I don't know why. I don't know.
I remember reading an article a long time ago that they said that they're skipping a I don't know if it's going to be 6 or 7 because it's moved along so fast. They're just going to go straight into the newer one instead of putting money into something that is just going to be outdated like really fast.
Why develop something that the industry's got no need for anytime soon? Like we haven't even seen 6 yet. It's been ratified. That's nuts.
Got me.
Oh.
Anyway, so things to look forward to, especially if you want a terabyte bidirectional a second.
Blazing
like, anyway, next article I saw was interesting in the chip world. It says here that Intel shares soar on an Apple chip deal. Now, the Intel Apple chip deal has not happened yet, but they've been talking, and everybody thinks this is going to happen. Apple and Intel are reportedly closing in on a deal that would see Intel make some of the chips for the iPhone makers' devices, marking a major shift in the chip making landscape. It is because Apple does not really change off of TSMC ever. Intel's shares soared by 14% at the announcement of the story, let alone that they don't know the whole deal yet. Apple shares went up 2%, but both companies just declined to comment about it. If this all comes around like everybody's saying it's going to, it's a vote of confidence yet for Intel's one struggling chip foundry business. We know how much they've been struggling in the past. And by the way, maybe we just didn't realize this, but Intel shares are up more than 200% over the course of a year. So apparently they're marching back on in, supposedly. They made a comment, or Apple made a comment saying that Intel is the only place that can scale up capacity as a viable second source. So they're not dumping TSMC, but it looks like they're trying to make a deal where Intel will be their number 2 to make chips. And that's mainly because TSMC is making so many chips for the AI market. Apple doesn't want to get caught short, and they have to have some backup plans. And Intel looks like.
Grace, see to nip in there and tell you something real interesting. I just found out the other day regarding about that. You know that Intel were approached back in the day by Apple to make their chips for their iPhones at the start, and they turned Apple down. They turned them down, and look what happened. They did. That's a true story,
Yeah.
man. They turned them down, which was stupid, because look what happened. They ended up
Yeah.
going to, they ended up moving across to their competitors, and that this is kind of a full circle going back the way. Nice,
Definitely.
nice. And do you think there's any
Um,
pressure from the US administration? There might be a
no,
bit of
I
that
haven't
as
seen
well,
anything
mate.
like that. It did say here, though, a side story. It says Elon Musk said last month that he plans to rely on Intel's future 14A chip node at his $119 billion terafab planned for Austin, Texas, which is
Do you know
meant to
what the
make
A
chip.
stands for?
The what?
The A stands for.
Yeah, angstrom, isn't it?
Yeah, Anstrom, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't even go that far. Versus nano or whatever, and now it's angstrom. I'm
It's
going like, what?
it's basically, I think it's equivalent of 1.4 nanometers or whatever. Like it's nuts. It's nuts how small it gets.
There's a video out on YouTube by your YouTube girlfriend about this.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The one that did respond to you.
Yes, the one that doesn't respond to us. We're too small for her. Anyway, they said that Musk wants to use the chips. He hasn't built the terafab yet, but it's planned for Austin, Texas, which is to make chips for both Tesla, SpaceX, and SpaceX AI. Yes, there's a SpaceX AI out there. What was that? That was SpaceX as a corporation buying an AI that already existed and changing the name to SpaceX AI. That's
Not
that story,
confusing at
and
all. Not
yeah, I don't.
confusing one little
Yeah,
bit.
I know. It's a lot of people are saying like, "Why are you doing that? Just the name is something else instead of connecting it to SpaceX." But whatever.
Yeah.
Um, it says here, Apple executive. Oh, this is even more interesting. Apple executives have also reportedly visited Samsung's new chip manufacturing plant under construction in Texas. So they're already eyeing a third backup or a third partner. So, and that's pretty much wrapped up the three that make the chips. I mean, that's them.
Yeah, that's
They actually got it all covered. So that's gonna be interesting. I think it should be good for competition. So we might see some things going down, which would be neat. The
yeah,
last story is it may not be related as far as gaming and whatnot is, but we like to talk about technology stuff.
we do.
Um, I was reading this and I was kind of really not surprised, but kind of excited to see this. And apparently, it says a new report claims that Samsung is developing a holographic smartphone display that could be used in a future spatial phone. I'll explain that in a second. The
What?
claims from the leaker Schrodinger on X spans a series of posts that asserts Samsung is moving its 3D plate tech to mobile. So the picture that it shows or what they want to do comes right out of like science fiction movies, just like many things have over the last decades. And it shows a person with a phone and she's holding it, kind of like tilted, and it's
Mhm.
projecting an image up into the air, and basically there it is. So think like Minority Report or maybe Star Wars when you saw the hologram come up and Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope. So you better hurry up. Um, so same kind of thing, except you're seeing it now. Actually, looks like it might become real. This would allow a holographic layer in the display to create depth that appears to extend beyond the screen. You would do this without the need for glasses, so you don't have to wear anything special. Per the unnamed insider, Samsung has patented algorithms that allow users to tilt the phone to see around objects in a video, a la spatial displays, which is why they're calling it a spatial phone. So basically, you would hold the phone, you would see the projection up, and you could actually move your head, and you would see the sides of it and things like that. I'm like, wow. So I say bring it on, man. What the hell? That'll be fun. Now,
That is,
you imagine the price of the phone?
well,
Oh, man.
you mentioned that, but and I believe it that the kind of cool stuff they come up with all the time. But they started with like this thing here, even though we're not technically, it's not really about gaming. A folding phone,
Right.
right? That Samsung got. I've got that. The Galaxy Z Fold 7, love it. And I saw concepts online. In fact, they're actually official concepts. I don't know if they'll ever make them. The rolling display, sort of start
Mhm.
like a normal phone and then
Oh,
it
yeah,
rolls out
yeah,
to
yeah.
be bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, as cool as that is, that would be a nightmare with mechanical issues. After a while, it just stops working and
Yeah, I
moving.
mean, it looks cool. I mean, when I saw it on the video, it's kind of funny. It goes bzzz, like this,
Is
and
that it's great? It sounds more advanced than your little razor girlfriend that you're getting later this year.
oh, well, I'm
Yeah.
still waiting for that to be announced. It
The
hasn't yet.
hologram thing, yeah,
Yeah,
that's Gray wants a little holographic
if they pull
girlfriend.
this off, I can't wait to see this. What I'm
You'll turn
more
around, you'll be like, "Can you tell me how awesome I am, how great I am?" She'll be like, "Yeah, sure, great, you're the best."
yeah, you're the best. And then on the side, she goes, "You really suck." But, nah. Actually, what excites me more about that, if and when it comes about, is that supposedly you're going to be able to program it with other characters instead of just the two. I think that comes with it.
Mm.
So I don't know exactly what characters or whether you have to have a license or I mean, I'm assuming if Razer is smart, they're gonna probably, have some kind of an agreement to have like I don't know, Kratos pop up or something like
Oh,
that.
that'll be DLCs, man, that'll be like add-ons, that'll be like orbs, Discord orbs or
Oh
something where
yeah, great, yeah.
you can get
And
different characters.
the only way you can get Kratos on your Razer device is gonna be like 1,000,000 orbs and you'll get Kratos.
Yeah, you have to pay like $10 or $20 to get like another big character or something, so,
That's it.
yeah.
Seriously though, if they do that, I would definitely think about paying. Can you imagine
Oh,
seeing a holographic Enterprise or something like that if they got the rights for that, and you see the Enterprise just kind of like floating there or whatever.
yeah, that's
Or
true.
even better, you get the Doctor to show up because he was a hologram, and he starts raking you. It's just like, hey, what are you doing there? He starts insulting you.
You could get a
So,
holographic version, or you could just get like a more realistic real version like the one I've got.
yeah, but yours is real, not not a.
We're talking about the model I got from
Well,
Tommy.
actually, technically, suppose I could take a picture of yours, right, and then turn it into a hologram, and then stick it on, on the thing.
Nah,
I mean,
I want royalties or something if you do that. No chance. Nah.
yeah, we'll both be arrested because they won't, it won't be right. So you're like, oh.
Uh,
Anyway, so I think we're
yeah.
kind of
Oh,
coming to the end. We're not going to do the quiz because there's only two of us, so it'd be kind of moot.
one last quick thing, Gray. Actually,
Sure.
just to add on, when we were talking near the end of my stuff about Subnautica 2, I was
Hmm.
trying to find out what's kind of different about that compared to other ones. Um, and what I found interesting was that it is set in a all new alien world. It's the next chapter in the kind of the story. So that kind of it moves on the story, which is good because the first one had a good
Yeah.
story, and it's been crafted as a crafting. Get it? I just saw. Sorry, not. Yeah. Anyway, crafted as
Sure.
a single player experience that you can optionally play in online cooperative multiplayer with up to three friends. So we could be like me, you,
Oh, we
Matt,
need
or
to do
something,
that.
me, you, Hans, or something could play that together. So that's a good idea. You
I
couldn't do
think
that in the first one, I
yeah,
don't think.
we have to do that. Three of us will like go in the water and swim and look for a giant
You'll probably
monster.
drown, Gray, no doubt. You'll drown. "Oh, I'm drowning." I'll be like, "Would you drown quietly, Gray? Would you please drown? We're trying to build shit here, man. Come on."
My air's running out. Sure, you told us that before.
Yeah. Can I have some of your air? No, you certainly cannot. But yeah, I was trying to get it cheaper because I'm a tight arse. But anyway, yeah, no, that's just a little tidbit I wanted to throw in at the end there, Gray. So yeah.
I think that's kind of interesting though, because if it's a single player game and yet they have a component where you could play multi, it's kind of neat. Instead of just kind of baking it right into the game,
Well,
it's your choice.
I like that because you don't have to play the stories yourself. You can play it with
Right.
three other pals. In fact, wait a minute. Did it say?
Well, I don't know. Did it say about you could play the story with three people? It may be
No,
different.
no. I'm sure you can. Cooperative. That's what that would entail to me. That's what that would tell me. It said up to three friends. So yeah, like me, you, and Hans could all play it.
Yeah, but wait a
And
minute.
that
So if you go on a mission and the three of us work with each other to complete the mission, that means all three of us get credit?
you're asking for too much.
Yeah.
I haven't played it. No.
Yeah, we kind of
Shouldn't
have to. Otherwise, we'd have to go back and play the mission like three times for us to each get.
I know. But
I'm
no,
not
I
doing
haven't.
that.
But yeah, no, just a little tidbit for me at the end there. But yeah,
I just want to know if there's monsters we can, shoot a harpoon at.
oh, there'll be plenty of them, man.
That'd
Some of
be
the
that'd
things
be
that were in the
fun.
first game were the deeper you went down.
Yeah,
Holy shit! Yes, that would scare you a little bit. So yeah,
and I'm looking forward to it, especially now that it's on Game Pass and whatnot. So cool.
exactly, man.
All right, we're gonna wrap that up. And sorry, the show's like just a wee bit short, but it actually, by the time I edit it together, I have some other stuff to put in, so it may end up being the right amount of time. So we will definitely see you next week. Hopefully, we'll have one or two more of our people back, and we'll have a good time. But I appreciate you coming along, Trev, and I appreciate myself for coming along.
Do you appreciate when you're going to reward yourself with cheese wheels or something? Yeah,
So we have fun as usual, and we will see you, everybody, next week. Remember, you can hear about us on obviously all the podcast places, and if you want to see us, go to YouTube, look up Extreme Gaming Podcast, and you can actually watch the video of us and tell us how great we are or ugly we are. Either way.
what?
So,
Speak for
all
yourself.
right. Yes. All right,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye.